Hi, friend. It's your inner child calling. And they want churros. A new toy. And a new adventure. Or maybe 5. With the bestest besties on Earth. Find your moment at Walt Disney World Resort.
This is your moment, your time to shine, your comeback. You're ready for the next step in your career, and you want an education employers respect. So you're not just going back to school, you're coming back with Purdue Global. Backed by Purdue University, one of the nation's most respected public universities, Purdue Global is built for people who bring their life experience into the online classroom. Purdue Global, Purdue's online university for working adults. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu.
Hello, I'm Taylor Williamson, a senior producer at Wonder Media Network, and I'm so excited to be guest hosting this week's episodes of Womanica. This Black History Month, we're talking about Renaissance women. As part of the famed cultural and artistic Harlem Renaissance movement, these women found beauty in an often ugly world. Today's Womanican was a global traveler whose journeys abroad shaped her creative and cultural imagination. Her artistry during a period of great societal change boldly asserted the dignity, humanity, and everyday struggle of Black people in America. To this day, her work continues to challenge conventions around who can make art and what it can or should be about. Let's talk about Laura Wheeler Waring. Laura was born in 1887 to an upper-class family in Hartford, Connecticut. It was clear at a young age that little Laura had a natural flair for visual arts. Her parents, who were both college graduates, encouraged her to experiment and be creative with her work, which allowed her to flourish. Laura enrolled at the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts in Philadelphia. During her time there, she taught art and music at a boarding school in the city. While at the academy, Laura won a coveted scholarship that allowed her to travel abroad. So, in 1914, Laura left her job at the boarding school and embarked on a trip to Europe. During the next few months, Laura studied in Paris and traveled Great Britain, developing a deep knowledge of Impressionism. She met and learned from other African-American artists and activists studying abroad. She familiarized herself with the work of prominent artists like Monet, Degas, and Cézanne. As Laura herself later recalled, "I thought again and again how little of the beauty of really great pictures is revealed in the reproductions which we see, and how freely and with what ease the great masters paint." Unfortunately, Laura's trip to Europe was abruptly cut short by the outbreak of World War I, and she had to return home. At first, not many people in the States paid attention to Laura's work. To make ends meet, she spent the summers teaching drawing at Harvard and Columbia. She also designed book covers and dozens of illustrations for The Crisis magazine, the official publication of the NAACP. The Crisis continues to be the oldest African-American publication in the United States, founded by social rights activist W.E.B. Du Bois. Laura's cover art for the magazine was wide-ranging, evocative, and almost entirely in black and white. After the war ended, Laura returned to France with an even greater desire to absorb as much about the art there as possible. This time, she spent over a year in Paris and honed in on her personal style, which was defined by vivid colors, realistic subject matter, and a vibrant atmosphere. She particularly liked to sketch and paint the Luxembourg Gardens. During this second trip abroad, Laura earned greater recognition and success. That fame followed her home in 1926 when she returned to the U.S. to continue teaching. She served on several committees and panels to evaluate art and won some awards of her own. Her detailed and soulful portraits of everyday African-American people were highly acclaimed. Although Laura rarely exhibited her art alone, she did participate in several group shows at places like the Art Institute of Chicago and the Brooklyn Museum. In 1927, Laura married Walter Waring, an educator in Philadelphia. And in classic Laura style, they vacationed to Paris for their honeymoon in 1929. Once again, Laura used much of their time there to focus on her art. She was especially interested in producing more dignified portrayals of Black people in paintings after noticing such an absence of them in the existing artistic canon. After returning home from her honeymoon abroad, Laura went back to her job at the local boarding school. In 1943, she was commissioned to paint a series called Portraits of Outstanding American Citizens of Negro Origin, which highlighted notable African-American artists and activists like W.E.B. Du Bois and poet Jessie Redmond Fawcett. This project was a major success. Her work upended stereotypical portrayals of Black people and toured through museums in 32 cities until 1954. Some of the collection is now featured in the National Portrait Gallery in Washington, D.C. Throughout her life, Laura maintained her love of France and traveling abroad. She felt it afforded her a great amount of freedom. As she explained it, quote, "The very feeling of freedom is a pleasure, and the ride on the bus down will be a joy." Laura died in 1948 after a long sickness. To honor her legacy, the Philadelphia public school system named an elementary school after her. For many years after her death, major art institutes declined to showcase her work as well as the work of many other artists from the Harlem Renaissance. However, her family has fought to bring her contributions to light. Just last year, Laura was included in a much-anticipated exhibition on the Harlem Renaissance at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. All month, we're talking about Renaissance women. For more information, find us on Facebook and Instagram at Womanica Podcast. Special thanks to Jenny and Liz Kaplan for having me as a guest host. Talk to you tomorrow.
The Unshakables podcast is kicking off season 2 with an episode you won't want to miss. Join host Ben Walter, CEO of Chase for Business, as he welcomes a very special guest, Chairman and CEO of JP Morgan Chase, Jamie Dimon. Hear about the challenges facing small businesses and some of the moments Jamie has overcome. Listen wherever you get your podcasts. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. Member FDIC. Copyright 2025. JP Morgan Chase & Company.
Are you still quoting 30-year-old movies? Have you said cool beans in the past 90 days? Do you think Discover isn't widely accepted? If this sounds like you, you're stuck in the past. Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. And every time you make a purchase with your card, you automatically earn cash back. Welcome to the now. It pays to Discover. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard, based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.